Good evening, fellow ladies and gentlemen. I have to tell you today that a lot has gone into this week's programming, and what you're going to experience today is going to be something different that you may not be used to. This is Eternal Flame News for the 4th of May, 2012. One of the things that I wanted to let you guys know is I wanted to thank you for all your hard prayers and all your wonderful things that you've done for us here at the station. One of the things that has happened in society today is the National Day of Prayer. Now, I have to ask several of you, how many did you actually attend the National Day of Prayer? How many of you actually prayed? The reason why I asked this question is really too many people had nothing to do with today. And I realize that as we continually go forth every year with this National Day of Prayer, first question that a lot of people ask me: is this really worth it? Is it worth it all? Is it really that important? Too many people want to ask me, what can I do to make a difference? How can I be who I should be, or whatever? Well, tonight you're going to find out several ways, multiple things that that can really transform your viewpoint of not only America, but where are we as Christians today going. We have several topics this evening, and just to give you a quick little rundown of what we may be covering tonight, what we will be covering tonight. We'll be talking about the end of communism, well, the possibility in China. For those of you who have seen Jackie Chan's movie 1911, you learn about the history of their country and how different things come about and different plans and whatnot. Really great material, great stuff you got to check out. We're going to talk about abortion. We're going to talk about YouTube, the controversy on YouTube, and stuff going on with babies. But I want to start out with the National Day of Prayer. Here we go, guys. National Day of Prayer, one nation under God. Now, for those of you that realize the history of the National Day of Prayer is controversial, because this is the same exact day that prayer was taken out of public schools because the separation of church and state ruling, which is what the big controversy, or big whatever you want to call it. Honestly, if you look throughout history since that date's happened, more and more things, and this isn't just my opinion, it's a fact, more and more things in the world have gone wrong for America because we've taken Christ out of our own nation. And people want to argue with me over this topic. That's fine. People want to argue that so many different things happens and whatnot, but I have to tell you straightforwardly, in a faction, that this is how it is. Now, I'm going to share with you just the photos that we covered right here in Chillicothe, Ohio, in the Ross County Chillicothe's courthouse steps. You'll see photos of various pastors and leaders, and I'm just going to go through them fairly quickly. Yes, this is something quite interesting seeing. I have to pause at this image. These are elected officials in the front bottom row, and behind them were pastors and ministers. You notice this? They are laying physical hands on the leaders, and the most interesting is the judge here is actually holding the hands of this man, of this pastor. A lot of times you don't see that. We do have video. This is Mayor Everson. he actually prayed and declared today. And then the little kids did a little, did the Pledge of Allegiance, and they released balloons on behalf of National Day. And I have a few more photos here. This is from the recording. Yeah, his wife and his daughter and his grandkid. How many times does the National Day of Prayer actually happen? And this is actually Sheriff Lavender here in Ross County actually spoke at the event. How many times have we gone through the motions of this National Day of Prayer and then nothing happens the following day? Well, you're going to find out tomorrow. We're not going to get into it tonight, but I'll give you a preview. You have to come to JMC Live tomorrow because you're going to find out what prayer has done. We are currently working on a husband, a wife, a son, a grandmother, and 2 friends, and a few other friends, and a girlfriend of someone. About 7 people in 48 hours getting saved because of prayer, the casting out of demons, the repenting of sin. You will learn more about that tomorrow on JMC Live. The reason why I'm bringing that up tonight is it's completely relevant to what's happening because there is power in prayer. And too many people don't believe there's power in prayer. When you look at the CBN News article about prayer, knowing that it's the 61st Annual National Day of Prayer, and it was set aside by Congress in 1952, and then President Reagan actually designated the first Thursday as May, as the annual observance. But too many times, Christianity is under attack in America. Every other story that we post, that we talk about, somebody is wanting to remove prayer. We now have a Freedom from Religion Foundation in America whose solely job is to stop my program, to stop your church, to stop everything, and it just drives me crazy that this continually wants to happen, that we continually face situations in our lives where Christ is being removed. And I don't like it at all. I think when we get to this point in our world where we want to take Jesus and continually redefine what he is, you'll find out some more about that tomorrow, about some worldly music and stuff being affected actually in the church, not just played as like an intro song, but actually worship songs. And I'm not talking taking a secular song and putting Jesus Christ in it. Taking the secular song face value and playing it, mentioning the band's name, and then telling people to go buy the album, which is an adult-rated thing. You'll find out about that tomorrow. I honestly believe that this year's National Day of Prayer knocked out some demons and really made the devil angry, because our nation is starting to wake up to the simple fact that we need Jesus Christ and that we need an opportunity to like I said, it is we are currently on air. I don't know if the ticker got removed on the live player or not, but too many times we get in this situation where people want to fall the wayside, and we can't wake up to a simple fact. I'm assuming my producer in the other room, Brandon, can probably log into the live stream and take that down if she wants. The way that you know we're on air, there's a little button at the bottom that says live. If it is red, we're on air. Don't worry about what the lower third says. Sometimes the lower third doesn't go away. You can try and take it off. But if you see that little button down there in the bottom corner, if it says live, we're on air. So that's when you know we're on air. Also, the website, it'll say live now. We have a ticker on the website that says live now, so you'll know whether or not we're on air or not. But the interesting thing about National Day of Prayer is I met with Mike Howard of Love a while ago, and then some government officials through the Continuum of Care, and I've talked to various pastors and leaders across the nation, specifically about the National Day of Prayer and what we wanted to accomplish as Christians and how we wanted to hear the voice of God and completely just remove ourselves, get to this point where we can actually allow this day to do what Christ wanted it to do the first day, which is a massive evangelistic opportunity day. All across the globe, we're seeing people getting saved. Things are happening. We have the pastors in Iran. Now his lawyer is being sued. We are under attack. And there's a lot of things that will continue to happen. You'll find out a lot more on JMC Live tomorrow at 9 p.m. This is why I wanted to just stop briefly and share with you some of the National Day of Prayer events. For me personally, National Day of Prayer has always been a day for me to come together with different leaders and different people that I knew and just reflect upon exactly what is it that makes us who we are. That's one of the questions I've always asked is what does it mean to be a Christian? This is a good day. This is an extremely good day to ask that question. What does it mean to be a Christian? What does it mean to pray? Because we're going to be doing a series in the future on what is prayer and what does this mean and how do we pray. And if you notice behind me I have the Old and New Testament names of Jesus and verses. And over here we have the Ten Commandments. And a lot of people can't even quote all the Ten Commandments, much less know a quarter or half the names and the verses reflecting the Bible. We don't know these things anymore. It's like it's a foreign language to pray. You're like, I don't know what to say. And I've heard that talking to not just new converts, like people that just got saved. I'm talking people that said they've been saved 10, 20, 30 years. They only know a few phrases. So we're going to try and get into that more with some other programs coming down the pipe. We're going to be starting Cross Effects Church and some more of the JMC Bites. You'll see a lot more. Eventually there will be content 7 days a week for the whole JMC network that you'll be able to see. But in a shocking turn, and I mentioned just a second ago about this, Jackie Chan was in the origins of 1911, was called the movie. And it was the origins of a democratic China and the Communist Party that was trying to take over. And the Democrat, all this big war happened and things changed. Well, right now, I'm getting to show you guys the Epoch Times. Check this out. Beijing leaders considering end of communist rule. This was created May 1st and updated May 4th. Chinese delegates applaud the vote during the Chinese Communist Party Congress at the Great Hall of the People on October 21st, 2007. That's what the image is. But according to a high source of Beijing, key leaders of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, Politburo, have reached 4 points of consensus, and that will be announced on around the 18th Party Congress. And the news has been going around Beijing. The consensus is, number one, people from all walks of life, political parties, social organizations should send representatives to form a preparatory committee for a new constitution. They will draft a new constitution that protects the rights of citizens to freely form associations and political parties. 2. Announce the Chinese Communist Party has finished its historical mission as the ruling party. Party membership will need to be re-registered with the free choice to re-enter the party or leave it. June 4th, Falun Gong and all groups who have been wrongfully persecuted in the process of voting themselves to China's realization of democracy will be redressed and receive compensation. 4. The military will be nationalized. They're also looking at the Chinese scientists, the Liberal Democrat Party. So a lot of things are going to happen. They're looking at making Democrat parties, Republic parties, and trying to continue the story of what happened with the movie 1911. And for those of you guys that are interested, I can kind of tell you briefly about what the movie 1911 was about. And it actually is an R-rated type film. It's a historical drama based on the founding of the Republic of China when nationalist forces led by Sun Yat-sen overthrew the Qing dynasty. And it's Jackie Chan and Zizong. and Winston Chow and Bao Bing are the ones that are in the film. You find out through that, and you can also do some historical studies about how the British took over and got Hong Kong, and then how the countries, different dynasties were against each other, and they tried to unite. They created this Communist Party. They overthrew the Rebellion Party, which was going to be the Democrat Party. But as of now, that was 1911. As of now, today, we have actual proof where the biggest country in the world, with the most people in the world, is admitting that communism, if this follows through, don't say that I said that this is what they're going to do, but if they decide to follow through and actually make a democracy and a republic of their nation, create a new constitution, and say they're no longer communist, that means they are admitting that communism doesn't work, that Marxism doesn't work, that progressive tactics doesn't work for a nation of people, because it's oppressive, because there's no freedom. People don't have the rights to be able to do the things that you can do elsewhere. And that's the thing that's happening in China, is after, in the biggest way that you know this happened, is the Olympic Games. China finally hosting the Olympic Games and being able to expressively share things. Also, if you notice, you go to Walmart, it's not just FYE and Sam Goody and these other stores. You can go to Walmart and find films from Asia, China now, and about their culture and everything. You can read books now, things that were hidden from the world. One of the older films I watched, and I can't remember the name of it, maybe Miranda in the chat can remind us. I can't remember what it was, but there was a documentary. I know there's another film that kind of shows it's romance, but I won't mention that one. What happens is they have the picture of Mao up on the wall, and there's a bunch of people dressed up in the military garb, and a musician who I think went to college came back to the country and had a violin. I think this was in the 50s, 60s. So what was brought down by the military and the government was that the only music being allowed to play in China at this time was Chinese-specific music. This guy knew how to play Beethoven. He was in a symphony orchestra. They took his violin and destroyed it. And banned violins for the rest of the country because that wasn't made in China. That's how extreme progressive and communistic activities can become. Things can be completely banned. Christianity, I know 12 years ago and even 6 months ago, you have to smuggle Bibles. Yeah. You have to smuggle Bibles into the country. Because it's illegal to have the Word of God in certain places in that country. To get them in certain places, you have to have all these extra rules and regulations. The wording has to be checked, and it can only be a certain version. It can only be a certain amount of things, blah, 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 blah. This goes on and on and on. I'm not going to bore you. That's what is so amazing about the possibility of this ending. I think if it happens, we'll get to a point where China could be an ally. You know, Jesus Christ can use anyone. Could you imagine if Jesus Christ could keep influencing and invading the different areas of China, and the Chinese government and people in that country get saved and they rechange the structure of their country, and they say no more this, no more that, you can freely do this, this, that, and the other. Could you imagine the potential? Totally revolutionize the whole world, wouldn't it? I think it would. I think it could do an amazing thing. You know, it puts us in a position where so much can change and so many things can be the way it should be. But yeah, I mean, too many times we take things for granted. When Christianity started, it wasn't in like a capitalist society. It wasn't really a communist society. It was more split between a Marxist capitalist merge to a zealot style ministry minded, not even Christian minded, more paganistic in society. And the thing is, when you look at the founding Christians, you know, the disciples, when they would start spreading the gospel, the in power pastors, as I'll call them, or prophets, or rabbis, whatever word you want to use. I know what they're officially called, rabbis, but translate it to current day society. Say that somebody today, I'm not going to use myself because that's being vain. Say someone today is considered direct line, you know, just got taught by Jesus Christ. Hypothetical stuff. This isn't really happening. Just bear with me. Jesus Christ is here right now. He just talked to somebody, okay? He made him this disciple. Jesus Christ dead. Imagine if Christ died today. What would happen? And going about talking to different people. The government would be upset. The religious leaders of the day would be upset. And it wouldn't just be pagans. It would be considered the current society. It would be Catholic. It would be Protestant. Judaism. All these people, pagans, everybody hated Jesus and his followers. And a lot of them were killed. So, I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of things going on how all this could work and where things can happen and what would happen next. But I honestly believe the fulfilling of the Great Commission can happen. And it takes different things happening, sometimes in a government, sometimes it happens, unfortunately, in natural disasters where people have an opportunity to help others. Sometimes it happens with legislation. Sometimes it just happens because someone's being used by Christ. And it's that divine moment that the Holy Spirit is opening forth an opportunity to make a difference in our world today. That's one of the things that we can do. And we look throughout history, and this is the argument I've had people tell me, well, I know missionaries have gone to other countries and they've hurt people. And I know that I've had pastors here locally who molested children. So this guy says, I just totally blankety blank 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 hate Jesus Christ, and I hate you blankety blank blank Christians even more. We're talking about Jesus Christ, not human beings. Because when I would do the ministry on MySpace, on one of the largest blogs that still is going on today, against Christianity, and it has several million views, it's still the top 10 blog of today. That was the argument. They said, well, Jesus was this way back then, but I would love to hang out with Jesus, but you Christians of the day are a bunch of garbage. And in some cases, I'd have to give them that. There's a bunch of garbage Christians running around totally misrepresenting Jesus Christ and making Christianity not what it's supposed to be. Yeah, we're going to be persecuted, and yeah, we're going to be standing up for a morale that hardly anyone in the world will not accept. But at the same point, we're supposed to be able to represent this love and this forgiveness and being able to pierce through these dark places beyond the things that exist. That's the weird part that a lot of people that aren't Christians don't understand. How can I sit here and say homosexuality is a sin, but at the same point, I can go to someone who professes to be a homosexual, I can feed them, I can clothe them, I can shake their hand, I can hug them, and actually tell them that I love them, and I don't have to put it all on display. I don't have to sit here and let out the whole world know everything and be able to line up with the Word of God. Like, I talked to someone yesterday and 3 days ago, the subject of media came on, and I told people that the last time I had full-fledged, 100% massive cable was 1999 when I had the satellite stuff and everything. From 2004, I got to watch a few movies. 2005, about 2007, I had what was like basic and the next level up of cable. And then from about 2008 on, I haven't had cable. And this person came up to me and said, "You're weird. Why don't you have cable?" Now, my wife would probably say in the chats, because we can't afford it, that's not my personal opinion, that's hers. I just don't want it. Because I keep seeing news articles, and I keep talking to people, and I keep hearing, as I flip across the radio, lyrics and topics of the day that continually seem to change the moral dilemma in the world. There's no consistency. There's no integrity. There's no middle ground. It's just going down. And you might hear maybe once a week, maybe one time in a whole day, a story about a drowned puppy being saved, and then the next thing you know, it's all the car wrecks and everything. And yes, we here at GMC, when we do these shows like Eternal Flame News or whatever, yeah, we share stories that have problems and things go wrong, but we try it through them to show you not only, some of the things that are happening that are just showing you how the world is falling apart. We're also trying to show you what we can do about it. And the reason why I'm saying that, this next story, it makes me angry. And it makes me sad that this is happening. But I'm going to be able to show you a solution. And I talked about the solution the other day. This is one of the things happening. There's been a Bowl-a-Thon, National Abortion Access Bowl-a-Thon, $466,014 to help poor women buy abortions. Low-income, disadvantaged women who want an abortion and do not have enough money to pay for it. National Network of Abortion Funds. That in itself shows you where we're at. The website says there will be beer, games, and grassy knolls. In fact, earlier this last month, during the abortion mandate and the prayer event that we covered, there were actually, at Washington, D.C., there were people praying for abortions. That there can be funding for abortions, that people would have the right to perform abortions. And the only two things that come anywhere close to some kind of gray thing is this incest and rape issue. But I still, and I've said this at the college and I'm going to say it now, I still don't agree on people getting abortions, because what does that solve? So recently there was a group that came to Ohio University, and I kind of talked about this before, and I'm going to mention, this is the good part. The group is out of Columbus, and what they were doing is these are high school students to college age students praying at Ohio University for people to understand what Jesus Christ can do, and that abortion is not the solution. And what happened, there was people that came up to them, they just walked past, they kind of paid attention, some didn't pay attention, and others that would cuss them out and everything. We've gotten to the point where it's just so strange that people can express opinions about this extreme actions. Me as a Christian, the extreme action I'm going to do is I'm going to pray to Jesus to help you and convict you of your sins. That is extreme as I'm going to get. I might show up somewhere with a table and some flyers or something and talking to people. But that's all, and talking to legislation and other things like that I do. Some of it's public, some of it's private. I can't promote everything. It all comes down to population control, and it also comes down to government assistance control, because the argument is if we allow these poor people to have children, they can't take care of children. The children are going to grow up disadvantaged and malnourished and sexually. I get your point on that one. There's a good possibility some of these kids will be born into something negative. But don't we have something called adoption? Brandon and I were talking about that today. Adoption. There was a boy that's 19 years of age. A couple of years ago was on the Ohio News Network, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he went through the foster care system, and it totally failed for him. He went through like 17 homes in like 4 or 5 years. He was beaten. He was molested. He was sex trafficked, and it was just a horrible experience. No one could keep him. Most of the people that he was in home with were just doing it because they got a paycheck. And across America, that's what adoption has become. Is it's getting harder and harder and harder for people to even adopt a child because there's such evil in the world that wants to abuse the system. We also have something else. This is the most cheapest thing, most affordable thing that the whole world can do. It requires a man and a woman to stay away from each other. It's called abstinence. In other words, don't have sex. But we don't teach about that anymore. We don't teach about, well, you know, you shouldn't have sex. You want to know why? Psychologists have proven that the more you tell somebody not to do something, like don't do drugs and don't have sex, the more the rebellion comes out. So that is the argument now. While we have free condoms for 11-year-olds, we're teaching 5-year-olds how to masturbate, and we're killing babies. That's the argument of today. You go across the world, in Europe, and Africa and other places, and how they teach about sex and different things, especially when Christ is not in the equation. There's more STDs. I have to give them, apparently their statistics show that the childbirth rate is lower, but what's happening is they're changing the system. What they've done is instead of the kids just having sex, they're texting. They're sexting, as they call it. They're looking at pornography. They're having every kind of sex but intercourse. They're having anal sex and oral sex and masturbating mutually. That's what they're doing. And churches are too scared to talk about this subject. They're too scared to have an event, especially youth pastors. A lot of them will get in trouble by parents by trying to have a sex education course. But I could go to a public school in the 7th, 6th, 8th grade and learn how to put on a condom and how to masturbate. And they'll have a nurse come in and say it. This is what I'm worried about. You know, we've taken what I've said here, and I mean, I understand in some cases like Miranda's, I'm not 100% about getting rid of birth control. Now, hear me out. In Miranda's case, that's the only substance outside of giving her a partial or a full hysterectomy that keeps her from hemorrhaging. So this is the trick part. The medication can be available for people that have other illnesses. But I do not condone having to give it to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 30-year-old person just so they can go and do whatever they want. Now, I know most women I've ran into honestly take certain forms of birth control because they don't want to have a period anymore, like a depot shot. But most people are not doing it that way. So I'm 100% against birth control. Except for, you know, in these instances where it's a hemorrhaging issue and you can take that. I'm completely against abortion too. I understand, you know, let's say if you were raped, and I know what that's like, and I have a friend that was raped and molested, and they had their baby anyway. Why? Not because they were going to have it adopted. And one of the things that can be done is why not special counseling? Because it doesn't matter if someone was raped or had an incestual relationship. you need to sit here and not do anything. You need to be teaching and counseling people the way it should be. See, the way sex worked is that you had sex unprotected in a marriage. And that's the way, biblically, sex was created. The argument is that sex is for pleasure. And I understand that. And there's something that has happened, though. One of my friends on YouTube was talking about masturbation and just sex in general, and he said the world is teaching that sex is just a physical stress reliever instead of being the ultimate form of love between a man and a woman. I give you, yes, it does a stress relieving activity, but it was created for a man and woman as the ultimate expression of love. That's the problem with the world, is they have redefined what love means. Love no longer means a man and a woman getting married, united together, and holy matrimony. It's you can do whatever you want at any time. Take this pill. There's no more consequences. Go wear rubber so you don't have to worry about STDs. Still go get tested in case something happens. You know, science is continually advancing to the point where I would not doubt that condoms and medications and shots and science will get to the point where a man and woman can have sex and will never have a child and will never catch any disease. I would not doubt that. But at that point, God's going to allow some kind of other disaster, illness, something to happen, so that He'll show up and still show the people of this world who created it. And the problem is today is, who do we have in the world to look upon as an expression of love? When you got homosexuality marriage, and most relationships, and I've talked about this before, it's like 20-30% of those are even staying together and they're not even married. We look at actual heterosexual people, they're like 40-50%. There isn't any consistency, because now that whole wedding vow thing means absolutely nothing anymore. And I have to say that because that's what I see. That's what I see people do today. We continually want to just do what we feel. Well, as far as I'm concerned, marriage is not a feeling. It goes way beyond that. Too many people tend to not understand that. And I don't know what it's going to take for some people to wake up. And I hate to say this. I've said this candidly to Miranda. I said it takes chaos, discord, natural disasters, death, destruction, utter evilness, things of loss, things of the devil, making your day horrible to wake some people up. A lot of times people tune in my program and turn it off because they don't know what to do. It's just too much for them. Or it's beyond what they can think. But yeah, this whole abortion thing, you know, we got on the 28th of April, there was the rights for women. And the reason why they're wanting to say this is a right for women is because they honestly believe abortion is something everyone should have an opportunity to do. Now, I can't give you a physical visual aid for this, but I'm going to pretend my hand's a gun. And my poster is a woman, and I shoot this woman. One in the head and one in the belly. Bang, bang. Not even just one. She's 3 weeks pregnant. Now I want you to go and look at your county, city, state, and federal laws, and they will all just tell you that if I am convicted of bang, bang, I'm convicted of not one possible manslaughter or murder. I'm convicted of 2. If a man or woman, child, doesn't matter how old you are, shoots anyone who's defined as pregnant, pregnant is from the moment that a sperm meets with an egg and it fertilizes the egg, and you can prove in a blood test or a urine test that woman has had that activity happen. It's known as pregnancy. The radical left will end up telling you that this action of a pregnancy is an amoeba. It's a bacteria. It's a fungus. It's just an organism. So, if I shoot this woman, bang bang, one in the head, one in the belly, she's pregnant, and I go to court, the current law states if I could be proven 100% beyond a shadow of doubt with the intent of deceit to want to kill somebody, bang bang, I have committed 2 heinous crimes of manslaughter and murder to a baby and her mother. But I can go over here and I'm going to take my top for my drink, put on my head. This is fictitiously pretending that I am a doctor. And this is a straw, which is kind of very similar to what they do. And I suck the baby out of you because I'm an abortion doctor. I didn't kill the baby. I'm a doctor. I have a right to do that. But if I take a gun, bang bang, or if I take the syringe and the sucker and all that, they're 2 different things. I would not doubt that the law of bang bang, mother in the head and the baby, will change so they're not caught in the lie that they are. Look it up for yourself. It's different for every state. That's why I can't pull up mine, because it won't make a different, it's different law numbers and rulings than yours. But if a woman is pregnant and she is killed, that person is charged with 2 crimes of 2 living creatures. But a doctor, yet again, his little hat, a little straw, stick, whatever you want to call it, sucks the baby out, that's legal. See, we keep redefining truth because of a majority ruling. How do you think the Roman times ever got to the point where you took a gladiator and put him in a room with a lion? A lion. Rawr! Can you imagine if I turned on TV at 7 o'clock at night and you had a guy that was not even a criminal? What if I went to what if I went to the Coliseum, fat me Jeremy, and they open the door and here comes the lion. I'm waiting for Miranda to open the door and growl at me or something. But can you imagine this? And people by the thousands would come to this Coliseum and they would pay their money to watch a man, and I'll do the analogy again, with a sword and shield stabbing a lion. Good grief, we'd have PETA all over us right now. Oh no, don't harm the lions. Don't kill the lions. Oh no, no, no. And PETA would be suing me for trying to attack the lion, and whatever the company is, and all this, so on and so forth. But you want to know why that happened? Because it was a majority rule. Everybody loved watching it. And even here in America, majority rule used to be when they would hang somebody, it was public. When they would guillotine people, it was public. And the Bible I read in Revelation says that's coming back. That Christians will be off with their head. They'll chop the head off in a public display for all to see. We're setting ourselves up for the end of days, whether we want to do it or not. I remember when I had that fast period from 1999 to 2004, that's when NYPD Blue started. And I remember the last cuss word on TV, I think, was a couple of words. And I left the academy and I went home and it was 9 o'clock and I don't know what this was. Thought it was a cop show. And here goes a woman's butt and there's her nipple and taking my Lord's name in vain, and I turned it off and I was like, what is going on? I use another analogy. Imagine, yeah, this is a glass of water. And so you guys know this is gum. Imagine this piece of gum is a piece of poop. Okay? Here's my glass of water. Here's the poop. Would you drink this? It's just one piece. It's not all 60. It's just one piece. Would you drink that? And do you realize we as Christians, when we turn on our TVs and we listen to our music and they say any cuss word, there's any sexual activity or anything, this is what we do. And we keep drinking it. It's no different when you put a frog in a pot. Don't do this. Please do not do this. You put a frog in a pot and you slowly turn up the temperature. Slowly turn up the temperature to where it's boiling and the frog doesn't jump out. That doesn't work. Don't try it. That's what we've done to ourselves. The analogy again, I don't watch cable, so I'm not inflected by all these TV shows and I'm not quoting all this weird stuff because I don't have time for that. I'm busy trying to take care of my sick wife, which caused me to step down from many leadership positions in our community, which caused me to change a lot of the things that I do. On the other side, I'm focusing on school and ministry and stuff. See, that's the thing. If we got rid of so many of the things in our lives, you realize you wouldn't have time. You won't have time to sin if you're doing the Lord's work, unless you're doing it for the wrong reason. You know that? You can't even imagine. And yes, Miranda, for those of you who are wondering who are in the chat, she's in bed right now, chatting with us on the show. She wanted to be involved, even though her body was not allowing her. She was very weak and tired. She's still trying. But you got to realize that too many times these things happen. And this is what we do. Why? Because we'll have a pastor or a leader or somebody come along, normally it's a famous person, and say, it's okay, I watch that, I do that. And you realize there are things in this world that depending on where you are in your faith with God, you probably don't think something's a sin yet. I realize the longer you're with Christ, you find out more and more different things are not beneficial for you. That verse talking about not all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. Have you heard about that verse? Some people probably haven't. You know, all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. It's a verse in Corinthians that I'm going to pull up for you, that you need to be aware of, that many people, I guess, don't think about. The New Living Translation and the NIV, and I'll share with you a couple of versions here, because you need to see all the different ones that I'm talking about. You need to be able to see the different versions, because you'll better understand. But yeah, that's it. You see these? All things are lawful for me. Some say I'm allowed to do anything. Permissible, legal. But not everything is helpful or profitable or not good for you. In the end, it says don't become a slave to anything. Don't be a master. Don't be brought to power. No man have dominion over you. These are verses. This is a verse. And you're kind of wondering, what is this? This is 1 Corinthians 6:12. Look it up with me, guys. 1 Corinthians 6:12. King James says, all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under power of any. This refers to relationships. This refers to TV programs, bands, music. It also refers to politics as well. I can say that. That's why I share that today with you. 1 Corinthians 6:12. I share this with you because people forget what the Bible says anymore. We're not living the way we're supposed to be. And I wouldn't doubt that as long as we continue this path, that more attacks will occur. And you're kind of wondering, like, what do you mean more attacks will occur? Well, I have a troubling, very, very troubling story of Christians under attack. And I won't go into detail yet, but this involves YouTube. YouTube has removed, and I've seen it from my personal friends list, has removed Christians' profiles, videos, channels, AdSense accounts, producer, director accounts, so on and so forth. And yours truly's had his AdSense account blocked for whatever reason. They won't tell me. It's automated. But it gets you to a point where too much is being done against us. And I think as this continually wants to happen in society, we are being persecuted without a shadow of a doubt. It's not something exactly pretty. It's not something that I am extremely extravagantly happy about. Although, depending on which ministry you talk to, they're all excited that, wow, isn't this amazing times we live in, one person says. It may be amazing, but it's going to be very deadly. YouTube, what they've done recently, this is an article in WorldNet Daily. A lot of people are going to shut me up because I said WorldNet Daily. Like I said, this is happening to my channel and other people's channels. This is Pastor Carl Gallup's YouTube channel, which used to be youtube.com/ppsimmons. Now I click it, and as you can see, account been terminated due to repeat or severe violations, our community guidelines, and our claims of copyright infringement. Our YouTube channel can be removed too. He's trying to fight it again. Like I said, our channel AdSense was shut down because we just made YouTube partner. Although the YouTube channel still says that the monetization is off. It's been off for a few days now. But anyway, he makes this new page, and he has a book that came out, The Magic Man in the Sky, Effectively Defending the Christian Faith. And he posted the 911 George Zimmerman call, which is one of the big things. But he has a backup YouTube channel now, which is just Carl Gallup's. And I can load it here. It's Carl Gallup's. But
hello, this is Carl.
yeah, that's Carl Gallup's. I shut it off so we don't play it. But anyway, it's just Carl Gallup's instead of P.P. Simmons. So I have to ask you guys exactly what can you do to be prepared for an attack. As we continually share stories on Eternal Flame News, JMC Live, the JMC Ministries Network, there has been many attacks. Miranda can share in the chat about the person who threatened to kill her, who called our show. I could personally talk about how my tire has been slashed here in Chillicothe, Ohio, or the nice little notes that have been left on my car at college that Miranda doesn't know about. There are people who don't want anything to do with Christianity whatsoever. That all the video content I do, the interviews, just talking about Jesus Christ in general, or even talking about the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, I'm evil. That is the future for America and the rest of the world. It's not something you can avoid. It doesn't always happen that way. In the world standards, I'm the evil person. I am the person that they don't want anything to do with, because they don't want anything to they want nothing to do with Christ. They want you to just fall to the wayside. They want you to just not. They want you to stop. They want you to just quit. And we've already made a decision that this isn't going away. So we have a backup plan. Our website designer and I'll be talking to people here in town and others on upgrading the website, because eventually I think we're going to get to a point where we'll be uploading our podcasts and our videos directly on the website itself and hosting everything ourselves, and just allowing YouTube to take whatever it will, because that's an evangelistic tool. For those of you that are interested, what I mean, how too many things happen. Yeah, people continually come to the chat room at other times. This is when that week when the chat and everything just completely shut off and it was all gone. It just disappeared. And so yeah, we are under attack, and a lot of things are happening. And I'll show you why we're under attack. Facebook. Our Facebook page, and I share the image with you guys real quick. This is what's happening. This is our JMC Ministries Facebook account through my personal page that I log into. You can kind of see the first few letters in the upper right hand corner on my name, but you're seeing about 750 likes, 250 of those are my personal friends. But here's how far we're reaching. 383,167. And the 8,351. You see this chart is climbing. Why is it climbing? It's quite simple, because people want to hear about the Word of God. And they're tired of hearing about lukewarm half-truths. And they want some meat and potatoes. And you know, that's what we're trying to get to. We wanted to slowly build the kind of content on the program. I knew that if I just straight out went directly into the ministry side and did not do some of the news and the puppets and the music and everything else, I would be missing out on the potential of what Christ and the gifts has given me and given Miranda and everyone else is going to get on board. There's a lot more things in store for us for the future for the program. A lot more interviews, a lot more than I can cover this evening. Now, sad news is, and yes, for those that wondered, the Straightforward group is no longer having meetings for whatever reason that is. Attendance was down and threatened of attacks. That was one of the issues. But this story has caused a lot of the straightforward group. It's caused Solace to wake up, and I'll actually share with you more at home event. And yeah, Miranda can answer your question. Number of U.S. newborns with drug withdrawal triples. New research says number of U.S. babies born with signs of opiate drug withdrawal has tripled in nearly a decade. Drugs such as Vicodin, Oxycontin, and heroin. 1 in 1,000 babies sent home. 3 per 1,000, and over 13,000 affected in 2009. Now here's the thing. That's a national statistic. You might think, well, that's just national and it can't really affect me, or something's changed. But let me show you a little more at home. For those that are watching that are local Ohioans, the medical organization known as ADENA has reported, check it out, 47 babies test positive for drugs in 7 months. ADENA Health System is applying for grant money to help stem the tide of babies being born to drug-addicted mothers. 10 of those babies had to be treated for opiate addiction before they could be released from the hospital. That's part of the problem, is funding, but also the bigger issue is, why is someone as a mother, and my own mother did drugs. Luckily I wasn't addicted to anything when I was born, but my own mother had problems and addictions and things and whatnot, and it really bothered me how many mothers and fathers do drugs around their children. If this continues, this evil path that we're on, I hate to see how bad it's going to get in the future. Now, the reason why I bring this story up is because I just spoke at Solace not too long ago in Portsmouth, and I did hand the packet at the Continuum Care meeting to someone to start the new group. A group within Ross County, because they're already covered in counties around us and above us. They got an award from the governor, and they're wanting to make a difference in being not just women and children and husbands and wives, but just kids. It doesn't matter your age. To get involved and want to make a difference and do something. Just like the straightforward Facebook page. There's people on that page feel safe to communicate online where they won't post publicly. But they'll post there. And someone's always available to talk to them. Although a lot, the physical meetings, I don't know what happened to that. But there's always a will, there's always a way, I say. And having a mother that had problems with drugs and alcohol, I can relate to these stories, but finding out a child being born into an addiction worries me. It worries me to no end that so much is happening and so many different things are going on that we have to wake up and realize there can be a difference. Now, I said at the beginning of the program I was going to show you how we can change a lot of these things. And we talked about the National Day of Prayer. Prayer is one of the ways you can change these things. We can have active prayer warfare against the enemies of Satan. and their devils and demons and whatnot. And so many times people have to wake up and realize that it's going to take an extra step. Now, we shared an image on our page, and I want to end with this image. It was something that stood out to me as I did the 3 W's. Wait, watch, and wonder. Wait meaning wait, not like how much you poundage you are. Wait, watch, and wonder is what my grandmother called it growing up. Waiting for help to come that would never come. Waiting for someone to keep a promise that never would. And I realize we're to a point where this image summarizes the beginning of what I want to have to say. When someone comes to you for help, and all you do or offer is pray. I need help with my bills. I need help with my clothes. I can't fix this. I need this, that, and the other. And all you do is pray. Do you realize that when you pray, if you even pray at all, God may be calling you to answer that prayer with your own actions? You know how funny God is, guys? It is by no circumstance that people stop in our life and come around and do things. And I know there's people in the chat room tonight who can testify of seeing not only I do this and Miranda do this, but seeing other people do this as well. And I know every one of us can say today that we've asked for help and help never came. We can all say today that we've gotten pretty mad at God at some point too. And that's the problem. I heard on a program the other day where the minister said, how many times have you heard people say they're mad at God, but they never say they get mad at the devil? I'm mad because God won't answer my prayer. I'm mad because God won't talk to me. I'm mad because God let this happen to me. Whatever happened to, I'm mad at the devil for sending that person that's my friend to hurt me. I'm mad at the devil. I'm mad at hell for all this sickness and disease going on and holding us back. Instead of saying, I'm mad at God for not changing it. See, a lot of times people will say, oh, prayer changes things. Does it? Do you even really understand what prayer means today? Prayer is a two-sided coin. And I had a friend of mine share this. This image has been shared 14 times on Facebook, and I think I shared it maybe 4 of those times. Well, in one of the views that I was looking at, there was a man talking and saying, well, God just answered all my prayers. I didn't have to do anything at all. And we finally got the guy to admit that somebody offered him a job and somebody offered him different things to do. And God offered him so many different chances, protected him when a storm came, and so on and so forth. There were only a few just straight out 100% supernatural experiences where there was nothing else but the interdiction of God, angels, the Holy Spirit, however you want to define that. You know, God, Jesus Christ. And he had to admit that someone had to be a vessel for Christ to use. Now, you can look throughout the Bible, and the Bible says to pray for our leaders. You have to pray for them whether they're Protestant, Catholic, Mormon, Christian, Satan. It doesn't matter what they are.
The things that we have. And I realize that for all these things to happen, Christ can make this difference in our lives, and we don't have to live this way anymore. We don't have to be in this position anymore. And I realized the time will come where Christ will make himself known to us. And we'll be able to have those moments where we can make that difference. We can do all things through Jesus Christ. And we'll be able to help people and realize and go beyond all these nasty things that come against us. I realize too many times in society, people want to try and take us out. But I'm telling you today, there is hope in Jesus Christ. We can make a difference. We can go beyond these things. We can pray for these people. We can help these people. And I challenge you today, when someone asks for prayer, pray and see what God wants you to physically do. And if you can't do it, you go find someone that can. Or if God doesn't want you to, then I understand that. That's how I want to end the program tonight. Be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. God bless, and we'll see you soon.